Alright. Alright, we're going again. We're going again. I don't know what I'm going to title this one. I felt like I was in a rush to get here. I had to do a couple of things, but I feel like I was in a rush to get in this position and say what I needed to say. I don't know. It doesn't feel as imperative as the other videos, but I still feel as though there's a thing on my mind that'll be lost if I don't say it. Yet again, everything this video is for me and me alone, and for me to look back on. Last night, I was in a call with some guys. Usually I would have went to bed, but my sheets weren't dry. I forgot to dry them, and I went out the house about 6. And I came back, they weren't dry. So I was on the toilet, and I got a text, and bro said, "You wanna go?" And I thought, yeah, why not? Why are these sheets dry? Yeah. I put on the electric heater. My bad. My bad. I put on the electric heater, and I just sort of waited. And there was one guy in the call who I don't know really, but I feel like I don't know most of the guys in the call. And his sentiment, saying things like "it's so over," or um, you know, I'm talking about suicide and all these different negative things. A little side tangent, but I find it hard to understand different people's point of views. Not in terms of I'm an arrogant person who doesn't care about anybody else's point of views. There's a bit of that as well, I guess. Always will be. But I do find it hard to wrap my head around somebody else's opinions and views on life because I kind of take my own and run with it, you know? Because if it makes sense to me, I let my life be guided by it. And, yeah. But I couldn't quite understand this guy's thing. And maybe it was just for jokes, maybe he was high. I don't know. I don't know. But it got me thinking and it got me realizing that now, b- back in the day, the baseline was depressed. You know how it is. You know, mind you, the lighting doesn't do it justice. I know I've got a chubby cheek, big old chain, and I know I look like I'm 15 right now, but I was 15 at some point, and I was 16, 17, 18. I think all the way to about 21, the baseline was depression. That was the fallback, right? The fallback was to think of little, to think of life as meaningless as possible. I'm gonna sneeze in a minute. Where's that tissue? Oh, pardon me. I'm not gonna edit this out. Yeah, that was the fallback. The fallback just consisted of thinking things as little as possible, so you could sort of justify the feeling, and then it would sort of be a safety, right, a comfort to where if everything is meaningless, then in a way that the feelings and thoughts can have less meaning, and you're safe. You're guided by it. You're shielded by your thoughts, and it's like they're a reaction to the big bad world that is bad, so it's just. And now, as I was going to say before, now the baseline is Being content. I'm going to not say that word too many times because you got contempt and content. Yeah. Now the baseline is being content and being happy. And I find that to be such a beautiful thing. And I don't know how to explain the process. I don't know why the process happened. But I can just say I'm glad and grateful. Because it was a long and arduous process. And last night, I got a text. Let me check it. I got a text from a friend, a dear friend. This friend I'll say I can say I know more than the other. And he said something along the lines of not being ready for what comes next. Not being ready for the challenges that are coming. Not being able to handle it, not being capable. And I think within that context, within the context of, this guy always struggling with these bouts of sadness, and this guy struggling with these bouts of doubt, such strong doubt from a guy, mind you, who could outdo me in everything that I do if he just put his mind to it. And I wanted to touch not on the reason why I write, but on the reason why I write. Oh man, that was so... Yeah. And I think I might touch on it. I think at some point all these videos are going to sound repetitive, but there's something I'm trying to pinpoint here. And that is, I have no doubt. I have no doubt in my mind that I'm to be this thing. Success is a different story. It's a different pond that I don't get to play in, but they can make big decisions for my pond. They can decide who or what type of new fish come in. They can decide whether or not mine is clean in comparison. They can decide all sorts of things and meddle with my life. They can say, you know what, this fish needs to go into a bigger pot or have a more comfortable, and then I'll get into the big bad world of publishing and all this sort of stuff. And there's so many things outside of my control that I don't let affect this pond. I don't let affect this, or this. I've no doubt, I'm trying to consider the Ravens. I got no doubt whatsoever that everything will turn out fine. We had a big discussion yesterday about whether or not you can defend yourself from, defend your wife and kids from an evil man trying to kill them. And I kept thinking throughout that discussion, I don't want to think about a man doing that to my kids, not because I don't think I could take them on. I think there's something toxic within that, like there's comfort, but then there's also, I don't ever want to think that a man would do that. I see the good in people. I see the ineffable good. I think we're all capable of the same level of such greatness. Our max, each person's maximum for goodness is the same because it's all that same bar. I believe in humanity. I believe in smiles and people and dreams and goals. And when these guys say that, they're afraid and they doubt and they don't think life is worth living, I get crushed and I reminisce on my own thoughts and feelings about why I'm here. I have no doubt. I go by la passion. La passion alone. Okay, shout out Dexter fans. But I go by la passion, passion. Or Tio fans. That's, if you get that, you're a real one. Way back, Stefan. Stefan's la passion. With the one S. But I go by something I can't quite explain. And that's the thing that I meant with the other video. Is that you don't need to explain it. At times, we're not interrogated. We're not interrogated. You don't need to explain why you feel the way you feel. You could just feel it. And I think that I have la pasión. No. I think I have a la pasión. I think I have a passion. Which brings such comfort and such assurance. You know, and I can't quite tell you where it comes from in order to like motivate. I feel bad because I can't quite motivate these guys in the way that I'd like. You know, I'd like to be like, come on, bro, let's do this. You know, the guy who called up and said you want to hop on a call, like, he always says the what if you fly, right? What if you fall, but what if you fly? And I like that. That always motivates me. You know, like the last video with the 2026 stuff. That what if you fly always motivates me because I don't know. I'm beyond doubt now, and I'm young. I'm young, and all these words can't be spoke with such finality to where I'll only have this one philosophy for the rest of my life. I'm gonna grow, and this is why I'm making this video because I know I'm gonna look back and grow. But as of now, I'd like to look back. But I'd also like to look back and still believe in this. And I might have touched it on a different video, I'm not quite certain. But I go by a delusional passion, yeah, that's the right word. A delusional passion alone. When I did the undergrad, the only experience I'd ever had with anything literature-based was, like I've said many times, comics. Daredevil Redemption. I think Chip was on his run. Zdarsky was on his Daredevil run at the time. I'd been collecting some Deathstroke. I read a lot of Batman, like any sane man would. And I'd really just thought, and this is a thing that I think really lies the heart of what these guys have been saying in my head, that gives me that separation from them. Not difference, not better, not worse, but that separation. Because I believe they have strengths and weaknesses and lives of their own that they need to appreciate. They need to appreciate for what they have for what they have before they can even do else. You know? And that is that when I'd seen these comics, that question of why not me rang in my head over and over and over and over again and over again and over again of just why not me, right? You see all these people in the world who do these things that we love, we think are cool. I like volleyball. I read Haikyuu, you know. I liked hockey as a kid. Basketball's cool. Football's cool. Rugby's cool. I've scored one semi-professional try. I'll put that on my CV for the rest of my life. Mind you, it was a handoff try. I'm in. And, you know, you see all these people and you're like, oh, why can't I be in that position? You can. You can. That's the point, is that they're no better than you. You're no better than them. You're just people in positions. It's just about effort. It's just about doing it. Trying it is a big part of the game. You know, you will fail if you don't try, and you will fail if you try. But it'll get you in a better place, and it'll get you in a better position than if you didn't at all. Because if you failed and that level you got to was, say this is your level of not trying, and this is like Messi level of football, right? Multiple Ballon d'Ors, multiple champions, a World Cup, all that stuff. If you went for that and you stopped here, congratulations. What a beautiful life, you know? Some things are destined for others. It just is what it is. If you got here, oh my days, well done. You know, what a successful life. But regardless, as long as you go from here to anywhere on this path, you've succeeded because you've tried. And I thought, why not me? Give it a try. And when I went into the undergrad, I felt really insecure. And I remember I was bald. And at the time I was doing some boxing. And I looked like a real meathead. You know, a real musclehead meathead. And we went around the class and we were saying, you know, our names and stuff. And I remember looking around and just thinking constantly, this guy's better than me. This guy's better than me. This guy's smarter than me. And then it almost turned at times when I'd see certain people, I'd say, you're better than me. And it was so toxic and so egotistical. And I couldn't help but think, why do you have to be so defensive? Why do you have to be well or good in comparison to others to give you value? Just be that value. You already have life. From somewhere you've already been given the value of life. So why not live that value of life? You don't need any extra expletives, you know, that goes like, yo, effing worth it. You just need to be like, okay, I'm here. And because I'm here, I give it my best shot. And that best shot is, why not me? And when I got into that undergrad, I literally went on a single hope and a single prayer. And I said, your will be done. And I didn't know what I meant at the time. But I think what I meant was, I'm scared to take that leap, as everybody else is. I'm terrified of failure. I've done it quite a bit now to where I'm starting to like it. But I'm terrified of failure. And I'm terrified of never succeeding. I'm terrified of giving it my all and somebody saying, look, son, you're just not worth the effort. Everybody else is better than you and you don't deserve it. I know I don't deserve it, but nobody else deserves it either. You know? Just because I'm white and somebody else is black doesn't mean I deserve it or they deserve it. Just because, you know, I think in this climate, publication might veer towards stories of the queer. Doesn't mean that because they get published, that my story as a straight man or anything that I'm going to produce like that is of any less value. They're just stories. You know, there's artistic value to them maybe, but there's nothing there's nothing there. There's no fight there. You know, there's no combating between each other's story. Just because somebody writes a story about something local in a local publication, and somebody writes a story about something more fantasy or something about adventure, doesn't mean that local publication, depends on their themes of course, but it doesn't mean that both of these things are like at each other's throats. It's just, wow, you both have beautiful stories. The only contest is from these people who think that making money will come from yours or theirs. Like, that's the only, you know, and I've got many examples, but the only difference is that someone somewhere has to evaluate whether or not you make them the big P's, the big bucks. That doesn't mean anything to you. That shouldn't mean anything to you. Forget monetary value. Value is in here, and value is everywhere. You are valued, you are loved, and you have the skill, the talent already. Obviously, you're going to have to grow. Obviously, you're going to have to develop. That's a given in life. Obviously, you're going to have to fail. Failing is a given in life. It's a good thing. But you have to take that leap of faith. Like, there's that pond of your type of story, who your contemporaries are, and who you write with, these publications, you know, the editors, the themes of the magazines, the location of the magazines, the price of the magazines, or you know, Penguin, Faber, you know. But then for me, you've got people like Blood Axe, and that's a whole different ball game that's so separate to this. To this. To this. What you see here, this is all I've got. That, I haven't got a single ounce of anything. I got no skin in the game when it comes to that stuff. And I can't really, unless I become that big timer who sort of maybe gets to manipulate it, right? And that's like king level. Once again, I've dropped his name. You know, of like, oh well, the publisher says, we want you to write so and so. What have you got for us? You know, right now you're not in that position. Right now you're in that position of, all I've got is this passion, this why not me, and no guarantee. You know that quote of like, if you knew you could not fail, how high would you aim? I think I'd like to turn that for a minute. Like, if you knew you could never know how high you could go, you know, with what effort would you give it? What I'm trying to say is, you know, that saying alludes to the fact that you have greatness in you. And you've just got to do it to really see it happen. But unfortunately, in this world, because of the perception of time that we live in, we have no idea. No idea about how high we can go, about how low we can get, about what's going to happen, what level of success, if we're to succeed at all, what that success even looks like, what it even tastes like or smells like. We have no idea. And so the leap of faith, to me, gets less and less of a leap of faith every single day when I realize the leap of faith has never been about faith or that jump. It's just been about taking that step. Because a leap of faith implies so much trust in something you don't know to make such a large decision. And I don't think it's that. I don't think that's what doing the dream is about. I had a situation not too long ago when I had realised I actually was living the dream. But I had woke up from that dream and all of a sudden I was still in that dream. Because life isn't about, you know, this fantasy. I'm a big proponent of we live in a fantasy world. I believe in unicorns and I believe in dragons. Call me ridiculous, but look, I'm Chesterton is Ethics of Elfland. Banger. You know, I believe in these things. But I don't believe in the fairyland of what I want to become will become. It's just you get to interact with this beautiful world. And it's already beautiful enough to warrant like jaw dropping and eyes popping. That you should be happy that you get a chance to do it, you know? I'd realised that I wasn't living in this world where I'd thought about, you know, and I'd slept about, and I'd put together and I thought, wow, it would be so good to be able to do this in the future. In fact, I was living in a world where every day I would wake up and my mind was focused on the task at hand. And the task at hand was just a consequence, an energy of the dream. It was something that was within being physical. And that was, I want to be a writer. So what was that? It was every day I woke up and I was trying to tell a story. You know? And that's what it was. It was never a leap of faith. It may have started out like that somewhere. But it started out from a position of other people have made that jump before and it doesn't make them any better, any worse, anything. They're just a person, and if they can do it, why not me? People make leaps of faith all the time. People make jumps all the time, you know? And people are always going to be scared. And there's always another leap of faith to make somewhere down the line. And I just refuse to stand still and just not jump at all. And I think I'm the type of guy, whimsical enough, and some people will call it delusion, and I would just quite simply call it life, to where I don't think I can die. I don't think I can die when I make that jump. When I make that jump, I don't think I can fall. I don't think I can fall whatsoever. I think there's something down there, maybe 10 feet or so, that's going to, nice voice crack, 10 feet or so, that's going to catch me. And it's going to bring me back up. And it's in fact going to make me try that leap of faith again. But this time, I'm going to be better, more capable, smarter. There's something about failure that just helps you be you. It exposes the trueness of your actions. It exposes your wants on such a stark level to where you can no longer hide from it, and you really have to question, well, why am I upset? What was it that I didn't get that makes me feel this torn? And I welcome it. I welcome it because why not me? And I think when you get to my age, it's not about being smart or getting old or being, the 16-year-olds when they call you unk. It's not about that. It's about realizing that when you were, I'd say when I really was conscious of life, when you're 15 and you look at these people who are in uni, you think they have it all together. And then when you get to my age and you look at these people who are 45 and you think they have it all together. Nobody ever, anywhere, has ever had it all together. Every day you have to wake up and make that same leap of faith every single day. But what I was saying before with the steps is that when you accept that that leap of faith isn't about a grand process, it's about doing the minor things. It's about doing each choice. It's about waking up and doing the thing itself. Doing the 500 pages. Sorry, I've gone crazy. Doing the 500 words a day. Doing the 1,000 words a day. Doing the poem a day. Doing all these things. That is what the greats do. Steinbeck was not Steinbeck because he was Steinbeck. He was a guy who wrote, and that's it. And yeah, maybe I'm saying he's smarter than me. Maybe I'm saying they all have this thing inside of them that makes them better. I'm not going to compare myself. I'm not going to say right now I'm on the level of a Dostoevsky, of a Steinbeck, of a Hemingway. I'm not going to do that because I feel like, how can I give credit to something that I can't, I have nothing to accredit. I've done nothing. But as a person, I don't think I think we're on the same level. Call me crazy, We're just people. We are just people. And they've made choices that put them in a position to do the things that they wanted. And I'm in a position with 2 hands, 2 legs, a mind, eyes, nose, a body that works. I have a body that works, and I have a mind that constantly thinks about these dreams. And I wouldn't say I'm tortured by them. I think I've been gifted. And everything in life is a gift. And when I have someone tell me that they're afraid to take that leap of faith, there's nothing I can say besides watch this. And I'm going to run. I'm going to get the biggest head start I can. I'm going to run. And I'm going to jump so far, so fast. Mind you, I believe in the small steps. But I think when it comes to having this guy with me in any way that I could possibly motivate, I'm gonna run so far and so fast and just be like, bro, try to match this jump. 30 minutes is insane. Because there's nothing that makes me special besides the fact that we're all born special. We're all unique. And somebody else achieving a dream like making millions from being a scriptwriter, first of all, money, boring. Second of all, script writing. Oh yeah, hold on. Anybody and everybody is allowed or capable to achieve their dreams. It's just that the dreams are never going to be what you think they are in your head, and that comes with a level of entitlement and thinking you deserve things that you just don't. And let's be realistic, you don't deserve it. But it's not. You're not going to get something in life because you deserve it. You're going to get something in life because you interact with the gifts you have, and there's a level of love in this world that's so gentle and so kind and so in your favor that it wants you to have the best life. And it's somewhere in the end of that journey, you can't really interact with it fully until you to get to the end of that journey. On death, right? When you get to look back and see it all work out, then you get to see the dream played out. Right now, you're inside the dream. You just have to keep living it. You know, these times, the times where you feel like shit, the times where it gets tough, all that stuff. Well, why would you ever imagine that it should just come easy? You know, that like to be a writer, you wake up all of a sudden you're doing 5,000 words a day, and then all of your other wants and desires are accomplished. Absolutely not. I don't even think it's about the steps. I don't even think it's about the leap of faith. I think it's quite simple. Have a bit of trust in the world and yourself, whatever it is. Find somewhere in some place deep down, and maybe sometimes just be okay with being delusional. Accept that you're not really that important. End of the day, you don't really have a claim to be the king. You can just be okay with being you. Which is why I think my claim on like just right is sort of based on this. I don't think there's any reason to start like. I think I'm done. I think I've said what I needed to say. But I don't think there's any reason to stop and evaluate, why am I doing this? Why am I doing this? Unless obviously you feel depressed and you need that little boost of motivation. There's no reason for wherever we should scrutinize our hopes and scrutinize our dreams. Um, just ask yourself the question of, what do I want to do, and if something comes to mind, do it. If something doesn't come to mind and you want to find it, find it. Because that journey in and of itself is a part of the dream. And just do it, please. I sound like Shia LaBeouf again. Just do it. Don't let your dreams be dreams. He was onto something. You've got such a beautiful opportunity in life. Don't squander it. Don't waste it with all the like. Doubt doesn't have a place. Depression doesn't have a place. Fear doesn't have a place. They're just shitty corruptions that they think they're smart by being in here. They think that they do something by being in here. They're just a waste of space. Just go for it. Just go for it. Not even if you fall, not even if you fly. Just go for it. Have zero doubts. None whatsoever. There's no room for doubt in a mind that dreams, because dreams aren't full of doubt. They're full of wonder and whimsy. Just wonder. Be a kid. I'm gonna be a writer.